What's up guys, Chadley here, and today Borderlands just released all 4 characters' skill trees in an interactive map here where you can actually put in all 48 skill points from the max level into them and work out a build even a month before the game's out, so that's actually really cool. So right now, Flak was definitely the most mysterious character out of all of them. They kind of kept a lot about him under wraps, so I actually wanted to look at him first and his skill tree. So to start off, I actually want to look at his master skill tree, because this is his pet focus skill tree, and when I play Flak, I don't think I'm going to be using his pets like that much, or at least I'm not going to build around them. In the past, all the pet action skills like Bloodwing or Death Trap, that kind of stuff, they never were really that good. Maybe that's changed here in Borderlands 3, but we're going to have to see. But for now, we're just going to take a look at it, and I'm not really going to put any of my 48 points in there. So, the start of this skill tree is Gamma Burst. Flak creates a rift at a target location, teleporting their pet through the rift and dealing radiation damage to nearby enemies. Additionally, Flak's pet becomes irradiated, growing in size and dealing bonus radiation damage when it attacks. Using Gamma Burst while Flak's pet is downed or dead will revive the pet at the targeted location with 30% of its health, but will double the action's cooldown time. So, that one's pretty interesting. And then the pet for this one will be the Scag. So, basically for this skill, you're just going to be getting a Scag with you. And you can make the Scag be a Spitter Scag, it sounds like, and they'll vomit onto the targeted enemy. Pretty cool there. And let's go ahead and go to his first tier skills. And these are basically all pet damage. So, Flak's pet deals increased damage. Pretty straightforward. Sounds like it'll get up to 50%. Yep, it's going up by 10s. And then, if I'm going to pick anything from the skill tree for my Flak, it's going to be this one, because it just straight up increases gun damage and action skill duration. So, I will actually pick up those 3, because you'll get a 12% gun damage boost. And when his next skill, go for the eyes. When Flak's pet attacks an enemy, the first melee attack is an automatic critical hit that deals increased damage. Pretty straightforward. It looks like it's going to get up by 15%, yep, and up to 75%. Then, who rescued who? Whenever Flak's pet deals damage, Flak regenerates health for a few seconds. Whenever Flak deals damage to an enemy, their pet's health is restored for a portion of the damage dealt. So basically, you're going to be giving each other health depending on who damages who. He bites. When Flak's pet takes damage, the pet returns some of that damage to the attacker. So there's actually a skill we'll get into in the next tree that you could actually pair probably pretty well with this skill. Frenzy. When Flak pets deals damage, Flak and their pet gain a stack of Frenzy. Each stack of Frenzy increases damage. The stacks decay after a few seconds. So this doesn't look like it gets, too many points. I can't really put anything in there, but it's only up 0.8% per stack, and you can only get 10 stacks. So you're getting 8% at the max at skill 1. So what would that end up being? After max, so 4%, so 40%, not too bad, but might be a little tough to get that maxed out, but we'll have to see in game how the pets work. Now onto his third tier, Psycho Head on a stick. Whenever Flak kills an enemy, their pet gains increased movement speed and damage. Only can put 1 point into there. Hive Mind. When Flak takes damage, a portion of all damage they take is shared to their pet instead. So that will help with some survivability. Then this pet, Great Horn Scag. The Scag evolves into a larger Great Horn Scag, which will increase Flak's damage and gun damage. Okay. When Flak issues an attack command, the Great Horn Scag will charge at enemies and knock them into the air. So that one actually sounds pretty cool out of the pets. We're gonna have to see how the damage number works, because it's not a percentage, it's just a number, kind of like Helios for Maya in Borderlands 2 is just damage like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm assuming it's going to be like that, and hopefully it will just scale to your level. And then we actually missed these augments. So Atomic Aroma. While Gamma Burst is active, Flak's pet is surrounded by Radiation Aura, constantly damaging all enemies nearby. 4 per second, okay, of radiation damage. Empathic Rage. For the duration of Gamma Burst, damage dealt by Flak is increased. That's another one of those just damage 20 ones. There's no percentage, so we're going to have to see how that ends up playing out. Now, onto the 4th tier, we're going to start with the Augment here. When Flak or Flak's pet kills an enemy while Gamma Burst is active, the duration of Gamma Burst is extended and pet damage is increased. These effects can stack up to 5 times. Then, we got Barbaric Yop. Increases the power of pet bonuses granted to Flak. So 20%, so I'm going to guess that it's going to get up to 100% increase. So that sounds pretty nice. Mutated Defenses. When Flak's pet is at low health, it gains damage reduction and regenerates health. The skill has a long cooldown. Okay. Yridian Scag. Flak's Scag evolved into Yridian Scag, which will increase Flak's damage and fire rate. When Flak issues an attack command, the Yridian Scag will pull nearby enemies by generating a singularity. That sounds really nice, actually. Too bad there's a lot of skills you got to get through to unlock it. But onto the second to last tier, we're going to have Shared Spirit. When Flak is at low health, a portion of all damage they take is shared to their pet instead. So 50% of the damage you take will end up going to your pet, helping some survivability when you're low on health. Pack Tactics. All damage dealt by Flak and their pet is increased. Additionally, the maximum health of both Flak and their pet is increased. Pretty straightforward. After using Gamma Burst, the rift remains for the duration of the skill. While standing near the rift, Flak and their allies rapidly regenerate health. That would be a really good team skill right there. That's got some great restoration potentials. That has some great restoration potentials. Now, onto his capstone of the master skill tree, Dominance. It's a melee override skill. Flak establishes dominance over any enemy, turning it into an ally for a short time. If the enemy is a beast, the duration is doubled. While under the effects of dominance, the target constantly loses health until it dies or the effect ends. Only one enemy can be dominated at a time. An enemy can only be dominated once. So, pretty interesting skill right there. We're going to have to see how pets end up being in the damage department and just usefulness. So, that'll be fun to see when the game comes out. Now, let's go on to the Stalker skill tree. I went through these skills a little bit before I started this video, and this is definitely my favorite tree for Flak. So, his skill, Fade Away, sounds a lot like Deception from Zero. Flak cloaks, turning invisible, can fire 3 shots while cloaked, and each shot is automatically a critical hit. While cloaked, Flak has increased movement speed and health regen. So the critical hit damage is 200%, movement speed is 25%, and you're going to get 3% of your max health a second, 45-second cooldown, and lasts for 15 seconds. So that's a long time of being invisible, actually, so I'm really excited to see how this turns out in-game. So we're going to go ahead and equip that to our first slot. And our sidekick, the Jabber, he seems really cool, so we're going to put him on as well. Self-repairing system. Flak's max health is increased, and they constantly regenerate health. So that one actually ends up being a good amount of max health, 30%. We're actually going to put some points into there. Attack command has lowered cooldown and increased damage for your pets. Not really the build I'm going for, so I'm going to skip that one. But Hunter skill, after shooting an enemy, Flak gains a stack of Furious Attack. For each stack of Furious Attack, Flak's handling and gun damage are increased. Stacks decay after a few seconds. So you have a high fire rate weapon, you're going to get these stacks very, very quick. So we're going to put that on. Then the Augments in the second tier. Fade away no longer ends after Flak attacks at the cost of critical hit damage and fade away duration being reduced. Okay. That means you can just shoot a lot, sounds like. So if you have a high fire rate weapon, maybe that skill could be alright. But sounds like he's going to be sniper focused. I mean, just look at the picture, he's got a sniper there. We're going to skip that one for now, but obviously once we see in game how that turns out, maybe it'll be really, really good. Then Eager to Impress. Whenever Flak kills an enemy, action skill cooldown time is reduced. Whenever Flak's pet kills an enemy, action skill cooldown time is reduced even more, and attacks commands cooldown is refreshed. So that'll be nice for going invisible all the time. Allies share a portion of Flak's total health regeneration. Flak's pet shares twice the amount of the health regen. If you're playing with people, combining self-repairing system in this would be really good for giving everybody some health. Overclocked, Flak gains increased fire rate. Flak gains even more fire rate after reloading. I love fire rate for Borderlands, so I'm definitely going to put that in. Then this skill, Lick the Wounds, actually sounds super awesome. Your pet has a attempt to revive you. So that would be really nice, especially if you're playing solo. I'm going to get that, it's 1 point. Then Turn Tail and Run. While moving, Flak constantly regens health and damage reduction. When he's still, you get gun damage and fire rate. So that sounds pretty cool. I'm going to put my 3 points into there. Then Beefcake Jabber is just an upgraded version of the Jabber up here. This one gets a shotgun, and his attack command will be a melee weapon that knocks enemies back. Then the other augment over here. After Fade Away ends, Flak's pet will taunt, drawing the attention of all enemies in a huge radius. After a few seconds after taunting, the pet gains powerful damage reduction. So that will help take some of the Flak. Sorry, that was awful. So this will help take some of the heat off you after you come out of Fade Away. Sounds like a pretty cool skill. I'm going to put that in actually. Then onto the 4th tier, we'll look at that augment. The health regen and movement speed of Fade Away persists for a short time after the skill is ended, and that's 10 seconds. I'm actually going to put that into slot 2. And these actually do not use skill points, so little tip there with the augments. You don't have to worry about those, only the skills in here. While above half health, Flak's gun damage and movement speed are increased. So with the build that I have going right now, with a high focus in Fade Away, and coming out of Fade Away, not really taking damage, this will be very useful as I will be almost always above half health, at least let's hope. We'll put 3 points into there. Hidden Machine, when an enemy has no target or is attacking another target, Flak deals increased damage against them. So this sounds like Ambush, I believe it's called, for 0 in Borderlands 2, which is always a pretty good skill, so we're going to pick that up as well. Then onto the, actually we've missed this skill over here, the pet. The Jabber upgrades his gear and equips an SMG. While accompanied by the Gunslinger, Flak gains increased movement speed and critical hit damage. When Flak issues an attack command, the Gunslinger equips a rocket launcher to attack the target. That sounds pretty dang nuts. I believe this one is going to use a skill point, right? No, it does not. Wow. Yeah. So obviously we're going to put that on. Then onto the next tier. We're going to look at the augment first. Now on to the next tier, we're going to look at the augment first. Successive hits on the same target increase Flak's critical hit damage per hit. Unblinking Eye resets every 3 hits. So if you're hitting all crits, this is going to be really, really good. But we're not really going to put that on right now. Rage and Recover, kill skill. After killing an enemy, Flak and Flak's pet regenerate health for a few seconds. Not too bad. Then onto the Capstone of Stalker. Flak and Flak's pet gain increased damage when Flak activates an action skill. If Flak is at full health, the increased damage is doubled. So, with the build we're going for, I have a strong feeling that's going to be a very, very strong skill. Now, on to the last skill tree, Hunter. The action skill up here is going to be Racks to dive bomb enemies. This looks pretty cool, but Fade Away I definitely think will be the strongest one out of the bunch. And this is where you're going to get a Spider Ant pet instead of a Jabber or a Scag. Then Interplanetary Stalker. Whenever Flak kills an enemy, you gain a stack of Interplanetary Stalker. Each stack gains bonuses to all damage dealt. These have unique stacks based on the type of enemy you kill. So humans have one set of damage, robots have another, and beasts have movement speed. So this is going to be based on the type of enemy you kill. Humans, action skill damage is increased. Robots, corrosive damage, and beasts, movement speed. So pretty interesting skill there. When Flak scores a critical hit, there's a chance for 1 ammo to be added to the magazine. That's going to get up to 36%. Second intention, Hunter's kill skill. Whenever Flak kills an enemy, they gain increased reload speed. This bonus is increased if Flak scores a critical hit. I think out of those three, that'd be the one I end up picking. I can shoot more often. Then, when there's no enemies nearby, Flak's weapon handling and critical hit damage are increased. This one, definitely going to have to test in-game for what counts as no enemies nearby. Because if that range is actually pretty big, I won't really want to be using this. So, we're going to have to see with that one. Head count, whenever Flak scores a critical hit, there is a chance their action skill cooldown is reduced. Pretty straightforward. Hunter's Eye, Flak gains bonuses when fighting different types of enemies. That seems like the best out of those three, so I'm going to put my points into there. And at this point, we only have 2 points left, so you're really only going to be getting like a capstone and part of the way through. So hopefully with they'll release a level increase at some point in the game's life, and we'll be able to get more. Then on to the Augment from here. When Flak rack damages an enemy, a portion of Flak's health is restored. And we actually missed this Augment. Converts Flak's rack to cryo damage. That's pretty interesting. Slows some people down. Then for the middle skill, Flak has a chance to fire an extra projectile per shot. Two Fang sounds a lot like Twin Fangs from Hunter in Borderlands 2. So they definitely share some similarities, Flak and Zero. Spider Ant Scorcher. Flak's Spider Ant evolves into a Scorcher, occasionally dealing incendiary damage to all enemies nearby. While accompanied by the Scorcher, Flak constantly regenerates health and gains elemental resistance. And then attack command, the Scorcher will charge enemies. Now we only got 3 tiers left. And the Augment on this 4th tier, Flak sends forward an additional rack. 2 additional racks are added. Big game, Flak's hunter skills become much more effective and have longer duration. Okay. Then, whenever Flak kills a badass or stronger enemy, they gain increased critical hit damage, gun damage, and handling for a long time. Additionally, they receive a cash reward from Intergalactic Bureau of Bounty Hunting. So that's definitely a very unique skill, and I guess we're going to have to see how many badasses we run into. Then, another pet, Spider Ant Countess. Flak Spider Ant evolves into a Countess, which will cause Flak to constantly regen health and gain damage reduction. Attack command, the Countess will burrow underground and then emerge, dealing corrosive damage in an area. Okay. Second to last tier, we're going to look at the Augment. Rack Accelerate. Rack have increased cooldown rate and gain additional charge. Okay. Galactic Showdown. Flak deals increased critical hit damage and enemies are less likely to attack them. That could be pretty useful if we eventually get some more skill points. Flak gains increased gun damage and action skill damage. That'll be also pretty useful when we get more skill points. Then for the Capstone of Hunter, Flak gains a chance to score a critical hit with weapons against any part of enemies. That skill could actually be very, very useful. You have a 1 in 5 chance of getting a critical hit by hitting somebody in their big toe, so you could actually dish out some insane damage with that. That will be very, very interesting to see how it plays out in game. But that is all the skills for Flak here. I'm very excited that Borderlands released all of these skill trees for all the characters. That way you know what you're getting into and people can decide who they want to play, and they got a month to figure it out. If you guys want to go through and build your own characters, I'll have a link to the website here in the description, so go ahead and check that out. But that's going to wrap it up for today's Flak look. If you enjoyed the video and want to see me build the other 3 characters, make sure to leave a like on the video to let me know. If you're new, make sure to subscribe for Borderlands 2 and in a month, Borderlands 3 content. Also, while you're in the description, go into the website, make sure to click on all my social links and follow me on there. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.